Well, it's Tuesday, September 20th at 11:36 in the morning. Our vacation's over. Yeah, the party's over. We're back from Point Pelee in southern Canada. And now we're back to the reality of the tough life of farm living. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the first episode of our southern trip down to Point Pelee. There's going to be a few more episodes to come, so hope you will watch those and enjoy those as well. Right now, I have to go do some work. Another tree fell on the fence, so if you saw the fencing video I put up last week, where I'm repairing a section of our fence because of a tree falling on it, I've now had another tree fall on a different section of the fence, not really that far away from the other one. This shouldn't be too big a job. I simply have to cut the tree, which is a dead tree. I have to cut it into pieces that I can move out of the way, and then restaple the fence up the poles again, because the big tree tore the staples out, at least on the top part of the poles. So I got to cut that tree up, get it out of there, and then restaple the fence up on the poles. I'm lucky, I think, that the poles didn't snap, at least as far as I could tell from a brief inspection this morning. So let's go do that. I'll hopefully get in there with the ATV and the trailer. Okay, here we are at the scene of the crime. You can see this large dead tree. So it's about 50 feet long and a foot and a half wide. Just crashed down, fell on our fence, and then went partly into the horse pasture. Luckily, these two posts on each side are still intact and not broken as far as I can see. So I think what I'll do is cut off this end piece here, maybe in two pieces, just so I can move them. That extends out into the horse field. It's being held up a bit by the fence, it looks like. So as I cut the pieces off, they should fall or break apart downwards. Whereas once you get back here, this piece is being suspended between that end and the other end, and then when you cut down, they tend to collapse and bind the chainsaw. So what you have to do is cut down a bit first and then come up from underneath, and then hopefully it cracks around your chainsaw and opens up and doesn't bind on the chainsaw. That's always an issue when you're cutting fallen logs. They like to bind if you're cutting an area between where the two end points are being held. Anyhow, we'll see how it goes. There's also a small basswood here that broke in half as the tree came down, so I'll have to clear that out. So I've got the old battery powered chainsaw, and I've got fencing staples, the fencing tool, hammer, and my helmet and eye screen. So as I mentioned, I'm going to cut this part that extends into the horse pasture. I'm going to maybe cut one piece here and another one once or twice here until I get over to the fence. Uh-oh, here comes trouble. Piper has to investigate. I thought they wouldn't come over because usually when I'm looking at these things they don't, but hey Piper, how are you? How are you, Pipe? Colby coming too. They all have to investigate the strange noise. Watch out now, come on, back. Watch out, guys. Okay, there's one more. Horses are very curious animals. So I've cut those 3 chunks off that were extending into the horse pasture. There's still a little bit here that just goes past the fence. And then this part's on the fence. Then this is held up from this end to that end, about half a foot or more here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try cutting through here downwards for a bit, and then I'll try coming up underneath just so it doesn't bind. Piper, you're going to be a nuisance, aren't you? You're just wanting to stay there. Oh, that's a raspberry. That can't be very good with all the thorns on it. How can you eat that stuff? Here's some basswood tree. Okay, you got to stay back now. You stay back. You stay back, okay? You stay back, Pipe. Now I come up from underneath, because this is really rotten, this tree here. There we go. That worked just like I hoped it would. Now I just got to get this out of the way. Now I just got to cut enough off here to get it off of the trail. I think it's still being held up somewhat, or is it? I'm not sure. I can't lift it very easy. It's a big long tree. This basswood is tangled under here too. Just got to make sure my cutting area is fairly clean. Might be, I guess it's resting there. Oh yeah, there's a limb there that it's resting on. So what I can do is cut this chunk off. Should fall off. we go. Now this piece is resting on this limb. There's an old broken limb here. So again, if I cut here, it's probably going to bind a little bit. But I have to cut more off. It's still hanging out onto the trail. So we'll see if I can cut right through it or not. Okay, this time I'm going to start from the bottom up first. There, that worked well. So now I'm going to go get those first chunks I cut off and bring them over this side of the fence so I can put them in the woods and get them out of the horse pasture. And it's easier for me to bring them over the fence now while the fence is still compressed here than it will be after I get the fence stapled up again. So this fence here has a lot of grapevines growing through it, and you can see they're straggling all over the top of the fence itself, which I don't typically mind, but now when it comes time to staple up the fence again, they're really putting a lot of downward pressure on the fence itself. So I may have to go down here and cut some of these to get them out of the fence in this section. I can try and staple it up without removing them. I mean, I can do it, but it's gonna not be quite as good, I guess. Okay, I think I've cleared enough of the small trees and grapevine out of here to make it possible for me to tack up the fence now. First I have to straighten it. As you can see here, it's all bent down. So you can just simply pull it up and bend these top vertical sections backward. Now here you can see some major bend from the weight of the tree, and over here it's very convoluted and collapsed, so I'll have to just get on the other side and straighten it as best as possible, then re-tack it. There we are, we got the fence tacked in again, and it's not too bad. It does need some tightening because there's a bit of a wow here in the fence. So you have to really release the other staples here and then have some way to pull it tight, which is always difficult. Normally they would do that with a fence come along, which is like a winch type thing. But at this point I just wanted to get the fence up so the horses wouldn't be walking right over it. Anyhow, that's another little job done.